May membership meeting. I'm Thomas, KH6GG, general class, and the president of BIARC here. We still have some people trickling in. I'm thinking more people will show up too, considering it's the membership meeting. Note that this isn't amplified. This is just for the online members to be able to hear what's going on in the meeting here. But we'll go ahead and pass the mic around and introduce everybody. That way, everybody knows, has a face to a name. Here.
My name is Tony Kitchen, Whiskey Hotel 6 Delta Victor India. I'm the BIARC treasurer this year. And in case anyone's not signed in, I have a sign-in sheet. You can find your name alphabetically, or if you don't find your name in the list, write it in at the bottom. I'm also with ARES, Amateur Radio Emergency Service. I'm the Assistant Section Emergency Coordinator. And I'm also the Secretary for the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. Let's go to William.
Hi, everybody. I'm William, NH6ET. I am the trustee for the FCC call sign, KH6EJ, for the Big Island Amateur Radio Club. That makes me a member of the board. On that board, I've served as vice president, and now trustee. And I imagine that as long as they don't fire me, I'll stick with the board until 2027. And then I'll pass the hat off to one of you guys. It'll make it even 10 years. I'm a lover of all things radio, amateur and otherwise. I operate from the Dreamers band down at 7 kilohertz all the way up to high energy gamma rays in my professional work. So you can call that DC to daylight, I guess, if you want to, like the ARRL does.
Hey, thank you, Doug Vanderleest. I'm from Seattle, but saw your guys' meeting on the calendar. Probably 36 years ago, I got my technician class license with this club. I was stationed in the Coast Guard up at Upolu Point back then, and spent a lot of time on 10 meters while I was there. Went from there to Alaska, changed to an Alaska call sign at one point, and then now I live in Seattle, and I, of course, now got a KK7 call sign. But November Hotel 6 X-ray uniform was my original call sign. Got it here, I think, 36 years ago, and just figured I'd come over and say hi.
Plate, the big one.
Okay, I don't know if that was for us or not, but anyways, real busy with ACS and up in the Seattle area. Stay busy there.
I found it on the floor.
KL7, or I'm sorry, KL5PJ, you're a hot mic.
Oh, sorry.
Aloha, everybody. That's a great story, dude. Nice. 36 years.
Glad to be here, you guys.
36 years.
You know, just having a good time.
I know BIARC's old. I am a young ham. About a year and a half plus, I got my general license. I'm a nurse by practice. I've been about 20 years RN. Prior to that, I was in IT. I've known about amateur radio for a long time. My grandfather was a CBer. I mean, there's something for everybody in amateur radio, really, isn't there? You know, some place to explore. So that's what I'm doing. Learning a lot with these guys. Some of the arrows around me. One of them next door. W86GXZ is my call sign, and I'm a general. So, oh, and I am on the board as a director. So, trying my best to participate with you all. Okay.
Hi there, Luke, WH6GRW, extra class, active in a little bit of HF, digital, and disaster communications, part of the VERT team up there in Volcano with Doug, who's next door. And also chair of the Digital Systems Committee for the past few months. So if you have digital questions, I don't have an answer, but you can ask me anyway. So
Thanks. Hi, I'm Joe, W86JOE. I'm the secretary of the club and the chair of the operating activities committee. I like all things radio, and I'm amateur extra. So that.
Mark, Mark Watanabe, call sign WH6FSA, general class, and I'm on the board. And since there are some new faces, a little bit more about myself, retired, finally comfortable saying or using the term retired school teacher. So I taught graphics, photography, and digital media. And yeah, that's me.
Afternoon, everyone. Gary, WH6EPS, Mountain View area, amateur extra. Like HF Digital and the 2 meter, 70 centimeter side. So also have fun with satellites.
Hi, I'm WH6HAA Fred. I'm technician, just trying to learn as much as I can, work my way up into the general. So if I'm asking you questions, it's because I want to learn.
Hello, everyone. My name's Richard, W090. I'm a new ham radio. In fact, I haven't even used the ham radio yet, and I got my technicians, general and extra, here last year. Just bought my radio, and I'm looking for anybody who can help me with an antenna setup. So I'm an HPP, and I'm looking to run an infed halfway. So.
I'm Mark Wagner, WH6HBV, retired broadcaster, AM/FM, satellite distribution, new technician class, which I took here at the club. I believe it was in October last year. Just got an IC 7300, which I'm trying to get up and running in 10 meters. And I'm talking to a couple folks here about antenna types and placement, and need to learn a lot more about that.
Okay. I know there isn't quite a program for today. It's more of an open-ended meeting. So, oh, actually here, hang on. We have people joining us online. We'll go ahead and go from left to right. Michael, you want to unmute and introduce yourself?
Talking to me, KL5PJ?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Mike, KL5PJ. I'm an amateur extra operator up here in Alaska. I'm also a VE up here. Do testing. I was down at your guys' little CQ event in October and enjoyed meeting with you guys.
Glad to have you. Let's see. Robert Gomez. Bob, are you near the mic?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Okay. I have a little question for you guys, since you're there. I'm not sure who's in charge of the 6 meter repeater. Last I heard, it was the E, last call letter, and I believe that was through BIARC or something. But for weeks, the 6 meter repeater has been messed up. The call sign's not transmitting right. It needs to be fixed, and I don't know who to call, but I kept trying to call the president, but no return calls. So just to let you know, this was the only way I could figure out how to get in touch with you guys. You might check out the 6 meter repeater on 50.060, that it's a kind of haywire.
Yep. Hey, Bob, this is
all I
William.
gotta say.
This is William, NH6ET. That's not a BIARC repeater, but I will reach out to the repeater trustee and make sure that they know that it has gone haywire.
Well, I didn't know who to call except you guys, so that's it.
Okay, Bob.
Thanks
Gotcha.
for appreciating it.
All right. Yeah, here, I'll give you a ring after this too.
Roger. Okay.
All righty. Lee, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm Lee Critchlow, Whiskey Hotel 6, Lima Charlie, amateur extra, and I'm the Hamgram, the newsletter editor. And I had a question for the technical guys who are putting this online. The picture that I'm getting of the group, and you're in that outside area, which is a great place. I can barely figure out who people are. And whoops, now I have nothing. Anyway, if you can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because the picture now the picture came back of the group. It's fuzzy and it goes from fuzzy to almost gray screen. Is there any way to sharpen up the focus? That's all. Back to you
That
guys.
actually might be your end there, because the looks like the Wi-Fi is actually doing pretty good out here.
Okay.
Yeah, not 100% on that. I don't think.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Bob, you might want to mute your mic there.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, doke. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty clear on our end. I think.
That looks pretty good.
So I'll log in and I'll take a look at it over the web.
There we go.
You guys up front are real clear. It's the guys, I guess they're too far back to be clear. And now that there's some people up front, I can tell exactly who you guys are. So
Gotcha.
mahalo. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okie doke. Next up, Mel. Are you there, Mel?
KH6 EKD, are you with us?
Might be having a mic problem. Okay, we might have to circle back there. Oh, he's muted again. Well, okay. Mel? Guess he's having a mic issue. It looks
Mel,
like.
if you want to chime in later, when you get your mic issue worked out, go ahead and say break, and we'll get over back to you.
Okay. Let's see. Back.
We should start with club business motion, so the purpose of the membership meeting.
All right. Well,
All right, so as a reminder, this isn't the regular program style meeting that we do every month. Twice a year, BIARC has a general membership meeting. Between these meetings, the executive board runs the business of the club, but these two meetings in May and in November are where the membership get to tell the board where to go. I mean, what to do, how they want their club run. So this is where we can make changes to our constitution, our bylaws, and things of that nature. Anyone can bring a motion to the floor. Changes to the constitution would have required a 1-month notice to be published. We've never had one of those before, so I went ahead and did one. You guys may have seen it out there in email and on the Discord, everywhere I could put it to make sure that nobody could say that they weren't notified. So I've got 3 motions that I'm going to make myself this meeting. There were some other people who said that they might want to make some motions as well. The typical technical presentations that we do and stuff like that, that's not what this meeting's about this month. We'll be back with that next month. Next month, the meetings in June are generally focused more towards field day. So the next month, it won't be purely focused on field day. It'll also have good relevance to your own shack. It's going to be about multiple radios operating in close quarters, whether it's your HF rig and your 2-meter rig or multiple HF rigs like we have at field day, things of that nature, but multiple radios operating in close quarters. So for now, let's go ahead and skip to, I guess, the 3 motions that I put on the agenda to bring. Tony, do you have the ability to pull up the notice that I issued?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so in a nutshell, what this one does is that it decouples the programs chair position from the vice president position. The programs, that's the stuff that we bring to you every month. It's the stuff that you bring to us every month. That's these presentations like the one I just talked about for June. In July, we're hoping to have a member of the Hawaii Department of Defense in to talk about how they individually prepare for disasters. Hopefully, that'll be a member of the 93rd CST. That's a joint operation of the Hawaii Air and Army National Guards. It's the civil support team. Specifically, they're a CBRN team. Chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear disasters would fall under them. And they are, I'm actually going to use my company's tagline for this. When you need help, you call 911. But when 911 needs help, they call the CST. So we're going to have them in. So we need people who want to put together programs that interest you, and sticking that position with just whoever is vice president. If they don't have a real vested interest in putting together quality content and engaging with people to come in as guest speakers and stuff like that, we're going to get middling content. We've gone through periods like that. It's not that the vice president at that time was bad at doing their job. It just wasn't their thing. So currently, I can't be the programs chair. I'm kind of acting like the programs chair at the moment. I'm reaching out to the CST. I'm putting together the program for next month. And I've got other guest speakers and demonstrations and stuff like that we're working on. But I can't officially do it unless we change the Constitution and bylaws to allow that position to be appointed to any willing member. Let the vice president do the vice president stuff. Let them inquire about the health of the president daily. Let the person who's going to be coordinating and thinking up and taking your suggestions and bringing content be somebody who's interested in doing so. So that was the impetus for this. I put out a notice about that. It has specific language in it that talks about modifying specific sections of the Constitution and the bylaws, and it has proposed verbiage for such. Has anybody seen that notice? Did it actually reach people? I'm getting a lot of yeses. That actually makes me happy because I did everything I could to shotgun it out there, because the Constitution and bylaws just says that a notice will be published. It doesn't say where or how. So it's kind of winged it. Looks like Tony is bringing it up.
It's just slow.
That's the case. Oh my.
Old computers.
Did anybody read that notice and come away with questions as to why this is needed, or if it is needed? Is there any concerns from the group present about that? Online, anybody have any questions or concerns about the motion that I proposed?
I am doing that now. I just did that.
All right, so that first motion, I'll pick it back in.
All right.
Call for a vote. Or I guess I can.
The amendment is on the screen.
So, notice of proposed constitutional amendment. Yeah, the proposed motion is to modify the Constitution and/or bylaws as may be necessary to decouple the Programs Committee chair position from the office of Vice President, thereby allowing member of associate member to be appointed by a vote of the club board as the Programs Committee chair. So we're going to go ahead and put this up to a vote. Does anybody?
Before we do that,
Oh.
The club membership was at 42 as of March 31st, which makes the quorum 8. I can see that we have at least 8 members present. I confirmed with the sign-in sheet, and so we do have a quorum.
Okay. We need a second, please. You do. So I moved.
Anybody
I submitted
say?
my motion. Right.
It's on the screen.
Is there a second for the motion? Okay.
All right.
Joe
Joe seconds. All in favor of decoupling and making things a bit easier here?
Aye.
All right. Oh, okay.
I've
See-
been raising my hand. I've been
Yep.
raising my hand, but nobody sees me raising my hand. I have to say something.
Lee, what do you got?
Please tell me each time who made the motion and who seconded it. Please, thank you.
Gotcha. William made the motion and then Joe seconded it.
And we
And,
should call for discussion if there's any before we vote.
oh, I mean, yeah, is there any discussion of this? Anybody have any comments, discussion? going out of order here, but I'm not that good at this yet. You'd think I would be by now. Nothing heard. Just one more time on that vote. I mean, it looked like everybody was for this. Just sorry. All in favor? There we go.
No, associates don't vote.
Gotcha. But all right, that does pass there. So, William, the next bit there.
Give me a second. I'm
Yeah,
trying to pull up my notes on the other two at the moment.
gotcha. I got to work on my stand-up routine. I got nothing.
So there was a motion that got discussed, possibly making a motion about decoupling the trustee position from mandatory membership of the PSCC, I believe it was.
I will bring up the,
Can you repeat that again? There was some discussion online. Somebody had brought up the possibility of decoupling the trustee position from a mandatory membership on the Public Service Communications Committee.
that would be in the bylaws, I believe. Standing committees under the Public Service Communications Committee. The relevant sections on the screen now, but you can find this under bylaws on the biarc.net website.
Ask who's chair of that committee right now, and they have thoughts on this.
Currently, Les Hicker is the chair.
That is correct, and
He is not present, and he was actually the person who drafted his section of the bylaws. And his belief is that because that committee uses the call sign in the way that they do, that the trustee should have specific oversight of that. My stance as the trustee and as an individual is that the trustee has to oversee all uses of the call sign. Operating activities uses the call sign. Programs uses the call sign. Education and outreach uses the call sign. Is the trustee expected to attend every single committee meeting, every single committee? Or are the committee reports to the board enough to provide adequate oversight by the trustee for the uses of the call sign? Very.
I would say as long as trustee always has access to those reports, there should issue that's trustee's responsibility to read those reports.
That is true.
And I'll just note that those reports are given to the board and they're published in the Hamgram each month. So not just the trustee, but everyone has access to those reports.
I'm just saying, years down the road, if trustee isn't as active, they need to still have access to those reports and send it on so that you're taking off that.
So here I found Les's email. He says, since public service communications often involve the use of the club's communications infrastructure, I think the custodian, it's the same term as the trustee, is one of the most important members. Now, I will say that neither myself as trustee nor the prior trustee was ever involved with that. We monitor the reports, we monitor the uses of the repeater. Just like, I think it was last night, maybe not before last, no, it was last night. I heard a net happening on the Kalani repeater. It happened during the assigned time for another net. This net seemed to be of a technical nature when this was actually supposed to be the Aries net. And I was like, oh, shoot, did somebody start a net? And Irene didn't get to hold her net. So I chimed in and I said, hey guys, what net is this? Well, Irene had never started her net. So somebody stepped in, started the net, and then the discussion just turned technical about multitasking, because that's what happens these days. You know, so that's use of the infrastructure. My stance is that that's how the trustee should be monitored. Reading the reports, being at the meetings for the board, and monitoring the infrastructure use itself. So Tony, I think this was originally your item that you brought up. Did you want to make a motion on this?
Yes, I will make a motion. Give me 1 second. I'm just looking up the relevant section. So this is to the bylaws. And I've got the bylaws up on the screen here. I know it's too small to read from the back. And this is referring to the section of the bylaws called Section 3, Standing Committees, and the subsection titled Public Service Communications Committee. I move that we strike the language, "The station trustee shall be a member of this committee," from the bylaws, from Section 3 of the bylaws. Do I have a second?
I'll second that. This is William.
All right.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
I mean, it's still up to the trustee that could ask to be on that committee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be accepted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds fair enough.
Okay. Well,
And I do want to get a count on the vote.
gotcha. Well, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Anyone online voting?
Lee is the only,
Lee is 10. And
Can't
that's
see Mel.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 10 affirmatives.
All righty. And then what, did you say there were three items you had?
I was bringing 3, yeah, I found one of those.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay, so another one, and this has been a real issue since the new constitution bylaws come into place. I was on the committee that Les started to create the new constitution bylaws when we did that, I think, in 2017. And we didn't foresee this issue. But as it is right now, any actions by the board between meetings have to be done by email, and it must be a unanimous decision. We can't even say, hey, this rough draft of the minutes looks good. Go ahead and put that into the Ham Graham newsletter unless we get unanimous approval for that. Not everyone is always available. I spend my life on airplanes these days. Other people don't live by their phone all the time and stuff like that. So trying to get stuff done can be a real problem. There are interim actions that need to happen in any organization between meetings of its executive body. So on that, I move to modify the bylaws by adding a new section, Section 4, that discusses interim officer actions between board meetings. And I submitted a copy of this in writing. So I will say that my official motion is as the one I submitted in writing, but I will recap it to you here. Club officers may take action on behalf of the club between meetings of the board on any matter that does not legally require pre-approval by a vote of the board, subject to the following conditions. The officer must first seek feedback by distributing the proposed action in writing, including by electronic mail, to all currently seated board members, and acknowledgement of the receipt or written responses, including any via electronic email, must be received from at least a majority of the seated board before the action is initiated. However, if any board member submits a written objection, including via electronic mail, to the proposed action during the consultation period and before the majority acknowledgement threshold has been reached and the action initiated, the proposed action shall be deferred until it can be considered at the next scheduled board meeting or at a special meeting if one is convened for that purpose. In any case, the next regularly scheduled board meeting shall include a review of any actions taken under this policy, as well as a review of the minutes of any special meetings convened for such deferred items. Now that's a lot of, I swear, ChatGPT didn't write it, but it sounds like it. And it's just written to be very precise. And what it does is it allows us as a board to say, okay, yeah, those draft minutes look good. Go ahead and put them in there. And then as long as we get emails saying that it looks good, the action is being taken by the individual who is proposing that action. and they're hearing whether there's an objection or not. At any time before that objection is raised, as long as a majority of the board members have acknowledged they've heard it, that action can proceed. That's not just for things like publishing the minutes. Getting this meeting space for today may have required something like that. We can't wait until the next executive board meeting to approve the location for the next executive board meeting. But currently, that's the way it's currently written. And that's why I've submitted the motion as it is. Not very exciting, but I think we need it. Go ahead, Gary. There's no time, and it's a simple majority. So as long as you get acknowledgement of receipt from a majority of the board, a simple majority of the board, you may proceed with your interim action as a board officer. Now, this is only board officers. This does not apply to non-officers. There's 2 non-officers on the board. So the trustees are not allowed to do actions outside of their office. This is president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and technically the trustee, but the trustee is kind of limited in what they do because it only deals with things that deal with the FCC. So you're not going to find the trustee going out there and, making a purchase for the club or anything like that. So board officers is the way this reads. So that is a motion that I have made.
Any other discussion of this?
Second, you need a second.
Oh, need a second first.
That was a statement. We need a second.
There we go. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
There we go. So William put it forth. Tony seconded. Discussion. Any other discussion on this? Anyone? Bueller? So all in favor?
All right. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lee.
Lee's waving frantically.
Lee has. She said yes. So
Yep.
Lee, if you want to comment, you need to unmute your mic.
Any comment?
No, I support it, and I was trying to do a thumbs up and wave, so I'm good. Bye.
Okay, thank
All right.
you. I got 10.
All right.
Okay, so my third motion would be a membership directive to the BIARC board. So this is telling the board that I want them to do something. We've done this before. We've had a membership directive to the board before where we said we wanted the gateway established. That's the thing that lets you use the app on your phone to talk to the Pilates repeater. That came through a directive to the board. Anyone here can make a motion for a directive to the board. Only members can vote on it, but anyone here can make a motion to a directive to the board, right? Anyone who's an associate member or higher. So this is mine. It's a membership directive to the BIARC board to extend the reservation time for the club's monthly meeting by 60 minutes, whenever possible, allowing for the meeting to continue to 1700 rather than 1600. That's the actual motion. Here's what. It's to foster collaboration, preventing premature conclusion of the informal socialization and that ad hoc collaboration that seems to happen after every meeting. And for some people, they tell me that's the favorite part of the BIARC meeting. The program is, something to sleep through, and then they get to the end, and we have this great collaboration, but then we've got to shove everybody out the door, and it gets cut off. I've been told for some people, it's the only reason they come to the meetings at all is that socialization portion. So this would support higher engagement and attendance throughout the meeting. And we can provide a predictable arrival window for members who are interested in just that social portion. About 1500, the party starts. So we've got the, or in this case, the business, but we've got the class portion, the program portion, and then we've got the cocktail party afterwards. There's no drinking problem. We can enable optional breakout sections for committee meetings. How hard is it to get our committees to meet? I was a committee chair for 5 years. I think I managed to get 5 in-person meetings in 2 years, and none after that. But if we could do the committee meetings in breakouts after the general program meeting, I think that would help a lot. And then the other thing is that we can avoid cutting off or splitting program presentations mid-session for that social break. Because usually that ends the program. Especially when we have a guest speaker, I don't think that's going to be very courteous to them. So I'd like to be able to do the presentations, promise a guest speaker a certain amount of time, but then also still provide the social engagement that a lot of the members want. The reason that they even come to meetings at all. Does this mean that we have to use that time? No. Does it mean it's going to be available to us every week or every month? No. Just whenever possible, it'd be nice to have that extra time and actually schedule a socialization period at the end of the program. So my motion is I move to direct the Byron Board to extend the reservation time for the club's monthly program meeting venue by 60 minutes, whenever possible, to allow the meeting to continue. So that the second half can be informal socialization and breakout sessions, things like that.
Call for a second.
Do we have a second? Here we go. Mark seconds.
Discussion?
Yeah. Any discussion? Anybody?
So that would be 3 hours then, right?
Yeah, technically 3 hours if we can, because the board meeting is a separate concept. I put the board meeting and the program meeting on the same day when I became president after 2018, I think, and it's been that way ever since. That may not always be that way. It depends on the board.
Who's responsible for the key? No, certain time with the access.
Well, and that, I'll tell you, the board met today and talked about meeting days and times. Because when we had to move from the K-Out Community Center to here, we had to change the day that we met. We went from the second Saturday of the month to the second Sunday. And then we constantly had to pick meetings because of things that come up, like Mother's Day. And that causes low attendance like today. So the board's going to put out a survey to see which do people want, a Saturday or a Sunday. We're also still looking at venues. I'm so immensely slow, arduous process in making us an affiliate of the University of Hawaii. They have a semi-outdoor meeting space like this, but very nice. Not that this isn't nice, but very nice. Up at the university campus. And there, where we don't have to worry about keys and stuff, that may make things easier. The rest of the But you never know. We may choose to go back to the second Saturday of the month. We choose to go back to the community center. We never go to the university, whatever. That's all separate.
Was the 2 hour 5 month time frame for the arbitrarily set, or is it required at any point?
Well, currently, we're set for now, period. And we always go over, period. I looked at the amount of time that we have gone over based off of the recordings, and it always falls within 2 hours. So I figured if we set it to a 2 hour reservation, we're always going to be covered. I don't think anybody can talk to me for longer than 2 hours.
All right. Any other discussion? Nothing? All in favor of moving and adding time to that? That's a great idea. Yeah. All right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and Lee. So 11. 11?
11.
All righty. So that was all 3 of your motions you had.
Yeah, and then how much surprising we'll see.
Oh. All right. All right. Does anybody else have any ideas and motions to bring to us here?
I forgot for you to take off together to take your club information.
But thanks for coming in.
Club, I'm busy on Kodo when we're activating. Look for you guys on 20 and 40 at some point. I'm always looking for a white call sign. So
what do you call?
KK7 TSE. I wrote it down somewhere.
Cool. You're logged and everything.
Thanks,
Right on.
guys.
Yeah. We'll see you later. All right.
All right.
I have.
Hey, that's not the last time I made a motion to general membership. And last time I did that, it cost money because I have to make the
Any other motions?
So far, nothing. I have no motions to bring forth. Tony, do you have anything?
Well, if there's no more motions, we can move on to the treasurer's report and any committee reports.
I'm just seeing stares, so let's move on to the reports. Would you like to start off?
Sure. So I'd just like to call everyone's attention to the fact that the treasurer's report is published in the Hamgram every month. And we moved to a new structure this year whereby we are allocating money directly to the committees. And this year, the vast majority of the funding is going to the digital systems, half of the repeater fund is what we used to call it. It's since been renamed to the infrastructure fund. We did that a few years ago.
But to clarify, that is not a part of general fund. That is donations received, correct?
That's correct. So there's two funds, or actually two categories of funding. There's the dues, which supports general club operations. And so that's things like our PO box and insurance and things of that nature. Then there is the donated funds. And the donated funds are broken down into two categories. There's the infrastructure fund donations, and there's also the humanitarian fund, which was started a few years back.
Darling Memorial
Yes,
Humanitarian.
by our recent Silent Key, Barbara Darling. She started that off. So the humanitarian fund, we actually have supported a couple of, it's meant to support operators who may not be able to pay for their BIARC membership or may not be able to pay for the things that they need in the hobby. So we did support a station out in Micronesia with that fund. Got them a several year ARRL subscription. But the humanitarian fund is the smaller of the two funds. The larger fund is the infrastructure fund, and that's what people tend to donate mostly to. So what we did earlier in the year when we set the budget was we changed the budgeting process and we allocated 50% of the infrastructure fund to the Voice Repeaters Committee and 50% of the infrastructure fund to the Digital Systems Committee. Now that's where the bulk of the donations have gone over the last 10 plus years. And so that fund did accumulate some funds in there, and we're basically trying to get the Digital Systems Committee and the Voice Repeaters Committee to give us specific proposals. And I talked with Trevor, right? Luke. Oh, okay. I need to talk to Trevor. I talked with Luke. We need to talk with Trevor. So Luke is the chair of the Digital Systems and Trevor is the chair of the Voice Repeater Committee. As soon as they come up with specific recommendations, we can start making purchases. And basically, there's a couple of items that have been being talked about for funding and approval. One relates to the linking, continued linking of our repeaters and linking island repeaters in general. And the other relates to the Meshtastic project. And both of those, there's been a lot of discussions on the listserv about them. And there's been a lot of ideas put forth, but we want to make them happen. So the board's here to receive that proposal. Once we have a specific proposal, we will vote to likely vote to approve it, and then those committees can get to work on implementing it. So that's where that money is intended to go for this year. The rest of the regular dues funds are pretty boring. You know, like I said, PO box fee, insurance fees, things like that. But you can look at the full operating statement each month in the Hamgram, and that's where you'll see up-to-date information. So we've got separate line items for the money spent by each of those committees. The Public Service Communications Committee really doesn't spend very much, hardly anything. And operating activities, we pay for field day or a couple of other CQ contests, basically for the site rental is the only thing really that those, although they did do a fundraiser a couple of years ago where we bought the, was that the 991 ICOM?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yaesu. Oh, okay. Okay. So they did buy a piece of gear a couple of years back. Yeah, they got a real nice antenna. And so, yeah, a few years back, we did have a big expenditure there. But for the most part, the bulk of the money is intended or likely at this point, based on our current year's budget. And assuming that the digital systems and voice repeater committees get busy and figure out how to spend the money wisely, that's where a lot of this money is going to be going. So we'll make sure you're getting the Hamgram, check out the operating statement, and you will see where we are in making progress on those goals.
All right, thank you, Tony. Now, do we have a secretary report? I mean, did you have anything to discuss? No. All right. There was mention of the CQ Worldwide CW event that's happening on the 29th of this month. So if anybody has any inkling to get into CW, or, I'm seeing nothing. Never mind. But there is another event scheduled for the end of the month here. Just note that in your calendars if you do want to get on and contest. Committee reports. So start off with.
I'm the former chair of the Voice Repeaters Committee. Currently, the chair is Trevor. He couldn't be here today. It's KH6IM. Intermodulation, exactly what you don't want on your repeater. The Voice Repeaters Committee is still trying to work through the politics. That's a big part of trying to get things installed and linked. So Trevor is currently working, and I'm assisting with trying to get the politics squared away to get the link up between Kalani and Pepakeo. I wish I could give you a due date for that, but as you see, it's taken forever to get this far. So stay tuned for more. There are other projects that are probably going to complete before that. We have the 70 centimeter portion of a repeater system on Mauna Loa already installed, and a 2-meter repeater is going to go in there here pretty soon. And what that'll do is that'll reach all the way over to Oahu. It'll hit parts of Maui and Oahu, and then we can switch that on and off with linking with the other repeaters. I've worked out with our agency partners to get a network connection from the Mauna Loa site to the Kalani Cone site. It uses all public safety equipment. There's nothing I can tell you about that path, but it's a nice hardened path. It gives us 3 megabits of bandwidth, which is more than enough. So that will probably actually be the first link that comes up, will be the ability to turn on and off a link on Mauna Loa. And then the UHF repeater will be permanently linked. And that will allow us to have better coverage in the saddle area. In a lot of those dead spots in saddle, even down to mile marker 6, like we were talking about, where Kalani is a little bit rough right now, you'll be able to use the UHF repeater off of Mauna Loa, and which I think is 445575. You can look it up on biarc.net. So that will be a permanent link, and then we can turn on and off the VHF link to Oahu. So those are the current priorities at the moment. There's a lot of other projects that are still in the works with that, with voice repeaters. And if you read the Voice Repeaters Committee's reports in the minutes that get published in the Hamgram, you'll get a little bit more about that.
I'll stand up. Oh. So the Digital Systems Committee has not been super active, and that's because I, as its chair, have not been investing quite enough time there. We do have some plans. Meshtastic has been a big push. And so what we've done so far, we haven't spent down any of that infrastructure fund yet. We've been taking member equipment that's on loan, unofficially, no paperwork involved. and installing that at a couple of BIARC sites. So one up at the Mauna Loa repeater site and one at Pepakeo that's been there just about a week now. Hasn't been there very long. 2 weeks.
We got to hit on a rubber ducky, by the way. It's making it to Mountain View.
Yep.
Yours are not quite as, but it's getting a little decent, so Gabby would definitely be helpful. Yeah, turn it off.
Yep. So the Pepakeo one is a proof of concept right now. And we'll look at making that permanent and increasing, hopefully, its performance in the future. The Mauna Loa site, we had some maintenance on, very short maintenance day last week, and improved the performance of that as well, upgrading the firmware and a few other things. So now actually the Meshtastic network, such as it is, has better support on the saddle than the voice repeaters. So you got to catch up on Trevor if you're listening. And hopefully we'll be able to coordinate that work so that if we are doing work at a site, we can, kind of take care of the digital side as well. I am hoping to make some progress at some point also on more WinLink and some other digital stuff, but that hasn't been, I haven't heard clamoring. So if anybody has an opinion on some other digital work that we can do with the club funds and resources, please let me know. Gary?
I guess a couple of quick things. When we installed the node up at Pepakeo for testing, we did notice that the pole that the Arden mesh is on and the node is on is completely rusted off at the bottom. So I have not presented it to the committee yet, but I'm hoping to ask for a pole replacement. So a 20-foot section of 2 3/8 from Miranda's, a small work team to go up, replace the pole, reset the antennas, and get above the building. So we're looking out toward, out toward the north side a little more, get those guys in. I think what I'm hearing, what William's saying, getting some backhaul and some infrastructure in, we may be able to take advantage of other digital systems, having WinLink gateways or VARA gateways at these other locations as well, if the filtering will support it without degrading the voice. So we'll have a backhaul connection in place to support the additional digital systems. I think that's where you'll get, more of these packet or APRS systems once that digital link gets in place. But yeah, the Pepakeo needs a committee meeting, and it would probably be a good time to replace that pole.
Yeah, so I will be scheduling a digital systems committee meeting shortly. If anyone who's not on that committee right now has interest in joining, let me know.
That mast has to support the dish to go to one.
Thinking 3/8, the schedule 40.
Yeah,
and then 18 feet.
Yeah, it's called RMC. The electrical world's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
And then
Let's talk about it at the meeting. Send me the invite. I'll join in and
Okay, we'll do. We don't have it scheduled yet, so we'll be working that out in the next week or so. And next committee, education, or here you go.
Okay, so for operating activities, we basically have two main events per year. We have Field Day, which is coming up on June 28th, and we got CQ Worldwide Single Sideband, which is the end of October. For right now, for Field Day, we have it set at Waialo State Park in Hilo from 8:30 a.m. to at the latest 8 p.m., but probably quite a bit earlier than that. It'll be potluck for food, and we need people to bring folding tables, canopies, coolers, etc. And other than that, we need membership participation, and that's about all I got.
I already gave a rundown on programs. Does anyone want to hear what's coming up in program here?
Okay, let's see. Education and outreach.
He submitted a written report. He wasn't able to stay for the meeting.
So that'll be published in the next Hamgram.
Okay, so yeah, the education and outreach report will be part of the Hamgram as well. So if you want to know a little bit more about what's going on in that world, check it out in the Hamgram. I think that's pretty much it.
I'll
State the clubs.
State of the club. President's message. Oh,
The
man.
Public Service Communications Committee, I'm not the chair, but I'm on it, so I could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you want to give a little brief on that?
I don't know if I need that because I got a mic right here.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh.
So the Public Service Communications Committee, we've done a couple of different things. We did try to participate in the marathon earlier this year, but we did not have enough people stepping up to the plate for us to activate all the stations. We would like to, I think, try it again. So I just want to let everyone know that we need participation when, I know it's early morning when those marathons start. So it's a bit of a sacrifice to get up at 5 or so in the morning to be down there for those marathons. But we'll give it another stab and see if we can get enough interest. Basically, we're proposing to have a radio presence at the start of the race, the finish line, and the aid stations, so that we can radio back to the race headquarters if there's any kind of problem that needs to be addressed. But what we've done in the past a lot in the Public Service Communications Committee is we've worked with voluntary organizations active in disaster to try to facilitate the use of our stations and also repeaters at times during any kind of communications situation where regular phone lines go out, which frequently does happen here on this island. And we also work together with the Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency's Auxiliary Communication Service. And they are having at Auntie Sally's for the Makani Pahili, I believe it's June 12th, 10 a.m. to 2. They're having a get together where all ham radio operators are invited to get together with civil defense, and all the clubs are invited. And we're going to have a talk story session. So look for the details on that in the upcoming Hamgram. But basically, the Public Service Communications Committee, we try to coordinate the different groups to work together better, both in public service and other types of like disaster-related communication emergencies. Sean, did you have a question or comment? Okay. He's saying hi. So that's also the branch where we coordinate with ARES. I did want to mention that through ARES, we do have monthly meetings and we do coordinate activities. So ARES statewide is having some exercises going on. It's kind of focused on Oahu and Maui, but they are working with HIEMA and they will be participating in the Makani Pahili during that week in June. I think that's about all that's going on with that committee.
All right. Well, the last bit here is, well, just the state of our union here. So far, we've had a little bit of growth in the club. I do see newer faces every week, and it's really nice to see. We don't have the inside area today because they're doing testing. And if you look at the group, we actually have some youngins and some oldins, and you know, it's really nice to see another 10, 15 people in there, all taking tests. Yeah, shocking, actually. I didn't expect that. But it's nice to see more growth, newer members that are bringing in bits and experience and things. I mean, I know I had my technician license back in 2009, 2010. It feels like forever. But I wanted to get back into it because I knew that communications, sometimes they're not the best, especially in Hawaii. You know, we don't have the best infrastructure as far as telephones and everything. And then it got me going down the rabbit hole of just wanting to get my technician license again. Now I have my general. Now I'm going to be studying for my amateur extra just because I want to get a little bit deeper into things. God knows every week I have another interest I get into. It started off with Meshtastic and just, you know, working in HT and then HF. Now I'm checking out more of the whole fox hunting world of things. You know, the radio direction finding is crazy, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever looked that up, but I've talked about it once. I'll talk about it some more later, but some of the rigs and the stuff that those folks do is insane. I had no idea that the biggest people in that were the Oregon team and then Ukraine. But, you know, as far as things are going, it feels nice to actually be a part of this group. It's really nice to actually be able to talk to everybody about this stuff too. Everybody has their own interests, and every time you have something new that you want to talk about, bring it to us. Let us know what you want us to do and want us to talk about. If not, we'll just keep talking about the same stuff over and over again. As far as things are going, you know, we're on track financially. Folks have paid. I think almost everybody's paid up on their dues, which is great. The coffers, no, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, thumbs, man. But yeah, looks like we're all still doing pretty good here.
Why don't you mention our social media stuff?
Oh, well, which part there? Because we have
The Discord channel, the Facebook, the publishing online of.
oh yeah, we do have our
Right now, we're
YouTube
going to
channel.
Publishing the meetings on YouTube, but the executive board today was talking about maybe doing some other content, some higher quality content. So if that's something that interests you, let us know.
And same thing for that. If you want to see something specific gone over and put on the YouTube, maybe we can make that work. We just have to kind of find some time where we can all be in one room where we don't kill each other and just get some filming done.
The great thing is that that's something we can all do as an independent collaboration.
Oh yeah, we can always put stuff
So I
online.
don't actually have to look at you.
Yeah, there we go. No eye contact needed. But you know, another one of those things where if you want to see something specific, say if it's how to build a 10-meter antenna or an NFED or get one up, and see if we can get something going like that. But yeah.
I wanted to mention something about our gateway.
Oh.
So most of you probably know that last year we had the motion that, or was it the year before, William? Time flies, I'm not sure.
I think it was 1 year ago today.
Okay. And we had a motion to establish a gateway interface into our repeater system at Kulani Cone, which eventually will be linked up with Pipakeo and hopefully one day other repeaters. So this allows digital access from any location worldwide, but it's a members only resource. And it was any full member or associate member has access to this gateway. William initially set that up. Luke, have you gotten involved in that yet?
It's a voice repeater thing.
Oh, it's a voice repeater. Okay. Well, it's kind of a hybrid between the two. You know, because it's digital into the gateway and then it turns analog. But I guess that falls under the voice repeater side then. William can provide more information about that. It takes us a few weeks. I don't think we've updated the list recently with new members. So,
I got a request. I think Joe sent me a request and I added somebody very recently.
oh, okay. So,
I get remote access into it at any time, so I can add people.
okay. So that is functional then. And I do hear people, former members call in. Gary, you had a comment?
Yeah.
So I guess the question and comment is, I know originally we had set it up for, Barbara was in the hospital, Jim was in the hospital, Bob had an incident. So it was kind of discussed and went in that direction. And then I know some of us did some testing. So is it open for any member to use their iPhone or Android app or a personal All-Star node maybe?
Any app could be used to connect to it.
Okay.
Currently, we're not allowed to connect it to anything that is
Interconnected to something else.
interconnected to any other node.
Okay.
There are people who connect nodes to it, but they comply with that rule. They don't connect it to the Blind Mainland All-Star Network and all that, because that would connect the Blind repeater to that repeater network. We've had a lot of people try, and most of them are not from the club or even from the state.
Where I was kind of going with that too is, the question was posed last week. I believe, Joe, they're doing a school event down in Nalehu this week or next week. Yeah. Oh, it was canceled. Okay. So what came up with that is that may be on the borderline of Kulani coverage, and they wouldn't be able to talk back to Lee at that point. So I was thinking, well, if we had a little tethered hotspot or a Shari node or something like that to be able to take with them at the school, they could bridge it to the phone, come back into the Kalani repeater, and get the same group of hams that's been supporting the schools. So activities, got my feedback. Activities like that are okay.
In my interpretation of the directive that was given to the board, that is okay because it is members directly using it.
Okay.
He doesn't agree, but I will rule to that. That's why I don't think you can do. Now you'd have to go back and ask the person who made that motion what their actual impetus for that was. But if they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. That's the trustee.
And just to add to that, Gary, I do have a Shari node that I'm not using, sitting gathering dust, that I'd be happy to lend to you if you need it.
Jim was going to loan the Raspberry Pi for that, so if we could put one together for club use, then you guys could check it, get familiarized with it, check it out for activities. If they do middle school work for coverage for that, I think that would be
So that does kind of bring up a topic that I wanted to bridge into. And this is probably more for the future, maybe the next membership meeting or next year even. This gateway interface, it's a powerful tool. And we really, now that it exists, need to be thinking about, well, are there other appropriate uses that that we might want to use it for? Sounds like you have some ideas.
So, well, no, there's been some spirited discussion at times. John brought up some concerns. Yes. But I think I've got a fix for this. I think I've got a fix for this. No. But I want to hear your concerns. This is the right place to talk about. Thoughts?
But yeah, maybe that. Maybe it'd be fair to give you some background about me to understand where I come from. Before I was a ham, I was in IT. Actually, I've been a nurse a very long time, but so when I came into ham life, one of the first things I got into was All-Star. And David discovered me, who was Hawaiian All-Star, because I put All-Star on the cloud, because that's what I like to do, play with networks. So this whole thing kind of born in through the reality of linked systems, meeting William and what he does somewhat for a living, and what our discussions were. And I'm going to try not to get too deep into this technical reality about how to integrate systems not together like UHF, VHF, but also to create a kind of a backhaul or integrated network, such as Nashtastic can do in a way. So here comes the gateway. I'm a new ham. You guys have heard the backstory. And remember, I'm a geek. All I think about is connectivity, how it works. And this plays out, not in amateur radio, but definitely in the ISM in the 1915 megahertz reality right now. So when it came about that this gateway was produced, it was produced under what we are discussing. My thought was open it up and provide a medium, an avenue by which the world can discover Biarc, the Big Island. The trick is what you're hearing about, is how it's deployed. And this, oh, by the way, this argument plays into C4FM world. There's a person here, an old ham, CBer, would love to open that up and create a room. So these are, to me, in my mind, these are integrated technologies. You know, and like we have C4FM, VM, DMR, the Gateway. The Gateway is Arden or All Star. All Stars digital analog because it's IAX is analog. So there you go. The discussion in the politics is behind how the gateway is utilized. This plays out in Meshtastic too, by the way, because what we have is an internet and RF. And we have that ability in the internet to connect from anywhere. So
Down the discussion of should we keep
here, I
the
should.
gateway, as was requested by the member who directed the board to have this done. Should we keep the gateway limited to members only? Should we make it completely open or do something in the middle? So the request had come in to open it up. The board can't do that because the directive was made by a member. The membership has to decide whether to overrule that or not. And that's why I said, let's talk about this. This is where that can change if anybody wants to change it. On one side, as soon as we put the thing up, people started trying to link it to other link repeater systems. And some members tried that. Some non-members tried that. Some people around the world tried that. If you open it up, you lose a lot of control like that. Now, there's pros to that. There's cons to that. If we lock it all the way down and make it a whitelist right now, we're only members, whether they're an associate member. We have associate members in Colorado, Alaska, California, Connecticut, all over the place. They can use it still. And anyone in the community with a license who can use the repeater can use it if they are BIARC membership. At one point it was brought up, well, why don't we just charge an access fee, a subscription to it? And I had a poo-poo on that because Part 97 says that we cannot financially benefit from amateur radio. Now, we can say that this is a feature we're providing to our members. We're taking the dues to run the club, not for that. So we've got this concept about, do we leave it completely locked down? Do we make it completely open? Or do we do something different? Now, something that we might try is that we operate the gateway as a hub, and we create a different node that people can access if they're not a club member, and have that only turned on at certain times. And we could publish those times or something like that. So there is a middle ground. There's other, and that's not even the only way to do it. Gary.
So I thought about this for a pretty long time, actually. William, I'm not sure where your vision is with all the linking, but I would see the use case for an open all-star network more on the 70 centimeter side. So your band is space, your band is easier to maintain with cavities. Your spacing is more between frequency. It's usually cheaper equipment. We could, let's say, start at Pipikeo, add something there, do a backhaul to Daryl's house, get internet up there pretty easy. We have the Arden sector already on the pole. It wouldn't take much to drop an all-star link, drop it on 7 centimeter, provide open access. Something doing it up on Kulani and bridging it into the digital. There's already a C4 FM on the 70 centimeter at Kulani, correct?
Yes, right now there's the C4 FM on 70 centimeter. You have an open port.
So a combiner and another set of cavities and moving the frequency up, we could get another 70 centimeter voice.
Once we chose the frequencies correctly, we could run another 70 centimeter on a duplexer on the transmit end.
And then that would probably be possible, down the road. So 1 year, 2 year, a long project, but starting maybe at Pipikeo and working our way up to Mountain View. But then you would have your links in place. We would have internet there to put the nodes on. I could definitely see doing that on the 70 centimeter band, leaving the 2 meter Kalani. Maybe, like you said, field day, CQ Worldwide, special events. They're doing a school day, opening it up for that kind of thing. But then their normal 9 to 5, or 2 o'clock in the morning where Ed's not joining in Philadelphia. I think that would be a fair use. So is my comments on it.
My thought is that we already have Hawaii Mainland All-Star Network. Why do we need to duplicate that?
I agree.
I think we can just push those uses to that purpose-built system.
I wanted to say something. You could, okay. So I love what I hear and I love the technical discussion. I think I'm going to just bring this back to what William was saying. What this is going to take to happen is you guys all got to vote on this. We got to change how this was done initially. And, you know, let's call it subscription based or some sort of form of monitoring. Now, the All-Star is, oops, I shouldn't be wagging this thing around. All-Star is monitored. If you know about the systems, you can monitor the traffic. You can boot people. You can use systems to whitelist and blacklist people. And that in itself, then open it up from there. Those of us who are familiar with that understand that. But the idea still comes forth from us all as members that we pay that for. How do we want this to work? For a little while, I tried to get an all-star thing going, which of course, you know, how things can go sometimes in our reality. Didn't, you know, it's participation. So if, you know, we have a chance to reach out to the world, and if we fashion it right, it can be very effective. We're not going to get hacked necessarily. And they'll get to know us with a little aloha. So, I mean, the infrastructure is there. It's more like the next meeting or when would it be that we'd even be able to vote on this, you guys? To change it.
Anyone can make a motion and we can vote on it now.
Well, I'm going to make a motion right now. Now, it's not, let's discuss it. I'm making a motion because I'm making a motion to change what you just heard about in the past half hour. I have to talk to me. I'm not in the bureaucracy.
What is the exact motion?
That to make a change to open this up, the gateway, more to anybody who wants to use it. But there have to be some kind of subscription. There got to be, in other words, let me get a little technical here. A little bit back, I created BIARC Almond 3. We can put something on a cloud. We can create a monitoring system. We can watch people, filter them through, like he's talking about, through a public gateway, advertise it that way. And then we can use the gateway itself to turn it off. Now, Hawaiian All-Star does this. You just route away in and out of things without going into a lot of explanation of how that would work. It can happen.
If you have subscription, no money involved.
No, there isn't. This is the circuit saying, just saying, I'm here. This is who I am. Then we won't use that word, will we? Enrollment. There you go. We are already, that's the discussion. We're going to have an enrollment.
We'll have to wait and see if one gets a second, but I think there's a cleaner way to do it.
Okay. This is a discussion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, we have to wait. And see
Anybody?
No, we have to wait and see if he gets a second.
Does anyone have a second to bring this up as a discussion? Or you want us to leave the gateway the
Well,
way
the
it
discussion's
is?
already over.
All right.
But
I don't know the bureaucratic. So you guys got to help me, you know. You have to tell, because I want to bring it up. I want to make a motion to have a discussion.
No.
We've changed.
Motion and we'll continue discussion.
Okay, withdraw the motion. Sorry, guys. I'm learning the bureaucratic system here.
Here's my recommendation.
Give him the mic so these guys can hear it.
I recommend that we consider broadening the whitelist to include all members of BIARC of all membership types as it is right now, but then also whitelist all amateur operators who are listed with the FCC as residents of Hawaii. No, that's my recommendation for discussion. So let's go to Lou.
Thanks, William. So I think that's not a bad approach to take. I really worry that we start confounding things, and I really think there's so much ability to do this outside of the 2-meter repeater. I want to see those repeaters linked. I want coverage on 2 meters and 2 meters to 70 centimeters in the islands improved. I think there's some benefit to having this stuff on the internet and having All-Star nodes connected, sure. But I think that is orthogonal at best to the linked repeaters that a lot of us really would like to see. Maybe I'm off base. Maybe it's a completely unrelated topic because one doesn't preclude the other, but it sure seems to me like having the repeater do what it's good at means keeping it off the internet, more or less. And that's not to say the gateway hasn't been really useful, because I think it has been, but that's a special use case. And I think changing the use case, broadly speaking, would be required to make it something. So I think there is the All-Star Network. You know, there's the White Mainland All-Star Network already. We don't need to recreate that. You know, I guess my problem is I don't see a clear goal that we can accomplish by adding other people to the system. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Has anybody heard requests for these people to be added access? Are people clamoring to get in?
I have not. I've seen a lot of people try to connect to it from random call signs around the world. And mostly that's repeater tourism. And you get that a lot. We have it a lot on 325 on DMR when people were really doing DMR. People just want to drop in and see what's happening in Paradise. I don't think we want that on the repeater. I think that's very good to have on some forum. I think the White Mainland All-Star Network is a much better forum for that. And they seem to be much more geared to that White Mainland All-Star Network. The purpose of this was for convalescing members and traveling members. I've been able to join nets that I wouldn't have been able to join because I'm in, you know, wherever I was in the world because the gateway exists. I did that before because I used to run my station remote, but it's actually a lot easier to use the gateway. So that's what it was for. Whether we want to change that purpose, that's something. So we want to be more inclusive to the local amateur community. Great. I mean, maybe we could whitelist all amateur call sign on one item, if that's what we're at, or the state of one. But it's also not, there's not a big threshold here. And if associate membership in IR is not expensive, if people really want to use that for people, all they have to do is be an associate member. I forgot how much that is.
And we got the fund. We got the humanitarian fund if they can't afford that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just want to add a little bit to what William said earlier. Sorry, subscription is the other word, but enrollment. First off, I mean, Luke's thing about the 7 meter and the ongoing connection, that's actually a whole other discussion to me in my mind. I really never thought of the gateway as always being on. That's not even actually in my realm. It was being access to the gateway. And I like William's point of view on this. What I have to say about All-Star, you got to remember, and even to be on All-Star, you have to have a call sign. You have to register that call sign to All-Star, and that's how you get on the network in the first place. So there's already a bit of vetting that goes on. And it's not just a matter of just turn on your phone and click. You really gotta have to want to get into the system a bit. So what we need to do as a club is figure out the best way to deliver our presence. Because one of the big discussions we had in our board meeting is how to get more of a presence. There, okay.
No, I'm like,
Oh, yeah. I don't really know if I probably don't think I could really answer it.
But it's the purpose of the gateway for us to be present.
Good question.
Is that it was so that we could be present.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I would like to know that thought.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Carry it.
Okay, so I'm all for flexibility. I think it's a powerful tool that can be used in lots of different ways. However, I've been a systems operator running a repeater on VHF from my house for 5 years now, I think, on the All-Star Network. And I'll tell you, it was not without a lot of pain. They have connected that thing up to everything. They've connected it to DMR, to C4FM, to P25 Phase 2. I've been woken up in the middle of the night by noise coming over. Yes, it's monitored, but it's been a pain in the ass to maintain the connectivity, and they let everybody connect. I've been woken up in the middle of the night by people in Oregon talking about traffic on I-5. And we don't want that stuff coming over our VHF repeaters. Yet at the same time, I can see a big thought of having a net where we invite the world to talk to Hawaii stations. You know, we could do that. That could publicize the club. But my focus is always flexibility in emergency communications. I would like to be able to dynamically link. I would like to be able to connect hub X, Y, and Z into our Kulani repeaters with an automated script. You know, I don't want to do it. You know, maybe we don't have to ask specific permission. Maybe we have a certain set of circumstances where we say, if this happens, if communications go down in Waikoloa, then we're authorized to connect the Waikoloa UHF into this system so that we can have communications between Waikoloa and Hilo Puna area. Dynamic use for emergency operations or for drills. That would be, you know, exercises. That would be my use case scenario for something like this. Over to Gary.
So I guess a couple things. Tony made a lot of really great points, and you know, I've hosted as well an all-star repeater for some time from the house, all the way back to 2014, I think it was. And Ed would definitely link me to Philadelphia and other places and get me woke up about 2 in the morning. And I don't want to see that happen to the Kalani repeater. And I like the private and the local. I do, so resonating what William said and what Tony said, and with the new changes to the board where board members can make decisions and pre-planned plans could be in place. So let's say for Kulani, if we wanted to amend the original, motion to special events, natural disasters, or board-approved activities, it could be opened up to all Hawaii call signs. Then
I will say, as a trustee, if there was a natural disaster, I would have done it already without asking anybody. So, you know.
yeah, I mean, you know, life safety is life safety. So maybe have the Kulani, the 2 meter, under those type of regulations where it's board approved, it's a special event. We know we're going to do it for field day. We know we're going to do it for a school event. You know, maybe there's something else that the club's planning, or another club maybe is doing the Waimea Ham Fest, and we want to boost some activity to get them into some nodes in that area. So we link it up and everything's planned. But then have the 70 centimeter side. So we start expanding in Pipikeo, working our way up the hill, and have that more like All-Star, but not connected to All-Star. Maybe we start out with all Hawaii call signs as we get our footprint in place, new repeaters using the surplus inventory we have. And then we start building out with duplicate coverage.
It would be trivially easily to do that when we put the new repeater controller at FNKO. And that would also mean that we could bridge the two systems together in an emergency if we ever needed.
So I would say 2 different motions would need to come up. One for establishing the 70 centimeter side, and one to amend the existing motion to
Here's one motion, 2 motions, whatever.
to allow. So it's a little more discussion, and then we'll maybe start filing some motions.
All right, so I think this comes down to a couple of distinct things. Do we want to expand access to the Kalani repeater via the gateway beyond the club's membership? Yes or no? So I don't have a dog in this fight. I see both sides of it. I had a dog in the fight in the executive board when I said the board can't change it. But I'm going to throw a motion out there, and we're going to hold a vote just to see how everyone here feels. I vote that we maintain the status quo, that we only allow members of all types of BIARC to use the gateway to access the Kalani 7.6 repeater. Are you a full member? Okay. Just met, so I had to ask. Do I get to call for the vote? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote. If you don't like that idea, vote no. We're trying to get some gauging here. Yes, we're in discussion. Yeah.
Just because we all have family, can that include somebody like a family thing?
No, associate membership.
Well, that includes
There's
associate.
there's a family membership.
Like, see, well, my wife's never going to be a ham, but I would love to.
Yeah, my wife says she can't censor her mouth enough to be on the radio.
Just to get on it, it would just be nice to add that sense of.
So you'd make if she got her license, you could get a family membership and she'd be allowed on.
Suggesting that somebody in an emergency situation will hunt it. It's really more of a.
They have to be licensed even during an emergency.
Yeah, we can't put it in training.
Nope.
No.
Anyone.
So William, your motion is kind of moot because you're moving to keep the status quo.
Only for the Kalani repeater and the existing gateway. There's more to come after this. Because this seems to be the crux of the issue.
Yeah, that is the first.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than that.
We want to find a purpose.
But for the Kalani gateway as it exists right now, because we'll have to revisit this when we have a larger link repeater system, right? But for the Kalani gateway as it exists right now, do we want to open it up? We can open it up to, because we can do a search in the FCC based off of zip code, based off of county, based off of state, and we can make that a cron job where it automatically whitelists based off of that. We can open it up. Or did we just, instead of about this being about the clubs present, did we want to make it about members being able to be present when they are not? So that's the motion. Do we want to keep the Kalani gateway constricted to members or not?
Can I just add to it? Sure. Because I don't want to assume everybody knows All-Star in the first place or even uses it. So this would apply to All-Star. In order to have an All-Star account, you have to be a ham. You gotta have, a license.
Yeah, I think everyone realizes we're just
That
talking
you all
about
understand
licensing.
that.
Yeah.
I don't, because I know half these people.
Now, if you want to open it up, if you want to say everyone on Hawaii Island should be allowed to use it, as long as they have a license, then vote no. If you want to open it up to the state, vote no. If you want to open it up worldwide, vote no. But if you want to keep it to just BIARC members, vote yes. And then we'll get a gauge, and then we'll be able to proceed with the next motions based off of that. So
Appreciate that. Hawaii. There's a lot of Hawaiians that live in Arizona, California, Texas, and they want to talk to their people. They do that on the Hawaiian All-Star Network. And when this came about, the gateway, first question they asked is how we can get access.
So I'm going to call for a vote. If you want the Kulani Gateway to remain only accessible for use by BIARC members of all types, vote yes. Okay, we got to count. Okay, 10, which carries, but who votes no? Okay, so we have an unmet need here. I think that maybe we ought to do kind of what Gary was talking about, but I don't think we should reinvent the wheel. Maybe we ought to use our footprint at some of these sites and add a 70 centimeter repeater and put it on the Hawaii Mainland All-Star Network. Lee, you had a question?
Affirmative. Who seconded it and was the vote 10-1?
10-2. Luke seconded.
I can't hear.
Yeah, okay, so Luke seconded and the vote was 10-2 in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I forgot I had the microphone. Yep. Okay, so there's other things we can do here. We can create a second node in the same controller that is available to the public that for specific events, we let the repeater committee connect to 7.6. We can also allow the repeater committee to connect 7.6 to the Hawaii Mainland All-Star Network if we wanted. Personally, I don't. I think it's good to have them separate. But I believe that we can provide the means that you're talking about, but preserve the 7.6 for its use.
exactly what I think. I would not like to see 7.6 the world, so to speak. There's been a discussion like this with KX6KU, who is a very talented ham, about C4FM. And it kind of reminds me some of the train wrecks we kind of run into with Meshtastic too. And it goes back to an early discussion about me being a guy who just wants linked systems. I want to get on my phone and I want to talk to somebody, maybe in Oregon. I understand, the difference between RF and the digital reality. And I've learned a lot from you all about gained a lot of understanding from that. But we're also, if you look around, a bunch of mainly old farts. And most of the younger generation are using their phones. And they do like Meshtastic, by the way. It's the gateway to ham radio. And All-Star is a lot of other things other than just a gateway. And the idea, what I want to do is promote that or make that seem like from a point of view from the world that Bayar gets that, No, I don't. I think a link system isn't in fact, and I'm simplifying, I'm not an engineer. Being able to connect and disconnect is super important. When I do the monthly net, that's exactly what we're doing. We need to segment. Let's have Hawaii Island, Maui, Oahu, yeah, just trying to throw out the conversation. Gary's wants to say something. Here. So yeah, the internet can talk. Hear it.
I do support the 70 centimeter side and doing a similar approach to the All-Star network, even allowing it to connect to the All-Star, or let's say Florida was having a hurricane and someone here wanted to be net control and they wanted to get additional support, and or there's other special events, maybe the Dayton Ham Fest, and we want to link in All-Star, have it on the 70 centimeter side. What I'd like to see is non-persistent connections, maybe with a 3-hour time limit. So user initiated. So if he wants to run his net on the 70 centimeter side, we can establish that to the Hawaii mainland All-Star. It's 7 o'clock at night. By 10 o'clock, that non-persistent connection will drop off if the admin didn't go ahead and re-add it again. And then it consolidates back to our mountaintop repeaters or our 70 centimeter repeaters. And then that can be opened for anyone as long as it's non-persistent connection. So they'll drop off on a reboot, nightly reboot, or someone can come in and just disconnect them. So I could support something like that.
I gotta say, but I just want to clarify, it's not persistent connection. You can do an All-Star is connect forever. You can just live, and you can actually create a macro when the system goes down. Whatever is connected to that system is going to back up. What you do simply, and I'm just going to get geeky, you can write a cron job that's just going to kick everybody off the system for whatever amount of time. And actually, Freddie Mac has a script. He writes the shell script on GitHub. You can download them all, and they're all automated administrative scripts that clear up the net for you. But back to what Gary said, I like the conversation. I am curious where it's going to go. So here you go.
So, like I said, I wasn't done with the motions. So here's another motion. I would like to modify the restrictions that were originally put in the motion that created this gateway and allow the repeater committee or the station trustee or the board as needed to allow other entities to use the gateway on an emergency basis, on a case-by-case basis, and to also allow linking the gateway to other systems on an emergency basis and on a case-by-case basis. So that's up to, but not yet including, allowing it to be connected to the Hawaii Mainland All-Star Network for a regularly scheduled net, such as the Siren net.
I like where you're going. And we got it. And it is just being an old people. You gotta be able to manage that somewhere, some control amidst the chaos. And it's figuring out how to do that to make people feel like, hey, I'm still a ham at amateur radio. I get to experiment. I get to play with that device, that shot rhythm, that DM, VM, WPSD. I know I throw out the acronyms, but these are the things we discover and learn. And we get to use those things to kind of work together to, play with them. I have a number of systems, an embarrassing number. I wouldn't have that if I wasn't a ham, to explore those things. So I like William's idea. It's
Point of order, that was a motion.
That was a motion.
I would second that.
I heard him first. I'm gonna take Sean as the second, so that was William moved and Sean seconded.
By clarification, special events, the board of trustee approved, the board approved.
Board or committee or trustee.
Yeah.
Because that way, if all we have is a member of the repeater committee and we've got a natural disaster and they have access, they can do it. Yep.
Okay, can you describe kind of more on the technical side? You access the gateway, then
There's a variety of ways you can do that, and they don't need to be in the motion. The technical side of whether you're going to do it from DTF commands or whether you're going to do it from the command line or whether you're going to do it from, was that Almon 3?
Yeah. You talked earlier about some things are ways, as we know, but
I think the bottom line is you're connecting.
We would, instead of allowing people to connect into the gateway, we would connect to them on an as-needed basis.
So you're connecting the 7.6 repeater to those that are specified specifically on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, on a case-by-case basis. This allows for these emergencies where it was said that Waikoloa lost telephone access, we can connect to the hospital repeater or to the,
No.
yes.
That's my point.
I think that's good. I just want to make sure that I know there's a DMR net that happens on a particular night a week, the same time as one of our perk nets.
My motion was up to and below nets. So if we wanted to do it for nets, we would have to propose that separately. This is just for special events and,
Okay. I didn't want to,
Usual items, emergencies.
I didn't want to bump a local net for some other nets and
Yeah,
say,
and that's why I said up to nets. but not included.
okay, that provides
Just say
clarification.
The schools, like outreach stuff.
Yeah.
The marathons.
Yep, and those are ad hoc events. That's a special event. Yep.
Those are ad hoc events, but those are 99% of the time going to be a BIARC member making that connection.
That's true. Yep.
So.
But this would be, let's say that if BIARC wasn't fielding it that day and the South Point Amateur Radio Club, I always want to call it a SHART, and I know that's not it. South Hawaii Amateur Radio Club, SHART. Something like that. Yep.
And then if it wanted to say, just get crazy. Well, an All-Star wants to organize something. They can approach us and say, let's have this event, let's do this thing, bring in the sense of community. I like it.
So is there a second? Because we kind of put the discussion.
Oh, I said second.
Oh, you did say second. Sorry, I forgot that.
I guess we need to put it. Oh.
Yep. So put it to a vote. Yep. So do people support allowing the board, the committee, and the trustee to make ad hoc connections on a case-by-case basis? All right. Opposed? We have one opposed? Okay. So that was 13-4, 1 against. Mark Watana. Yep. So I think, I could sit here and make more motions, and we could really pin this down, but I think we ought to revisit this in November. And maybe we can open it up to even nets and stuff like that at that point. See how it goes.
I want to bring this out, and then I would like to talk to some of the people that are here. Because we're trying to, we're all here in Hawaii, on the Big Island and the east side. And just, I'd love to see a bigger conversation about this.
My question is going to be kind of directed toward you too. In inventory, does the club have enough to start expanding a 70 centimeter network?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'll make a motion that the club should expand our repeater sites for the full capability for 70 centimeters. Once that's established, we can revisit the linking part of it in the November or the December timeframe.
Well, if we don't have the linking, there's no point in putting in the 70 centimeter repeaters for linking.
Well, I mean,
I think we need to leave the committee to prioritize on getting the linking up.
okay. I was gonna link it from this guy's house, but.
Well, but that's linking. That's still linking.
So, my question is does the club want to focus time and energy in putting a second 70 centimeter voice network in place?
Well, I know that the repeater committee already has plans to do so,
Okay,
and they're prioritizing.
and I don't want to
time and
interfere.
resources. I'm not the repeater committee chair anymore.
Yeah, he's not here today. All right, I'll table that then.
Well, we've covered an awful lot of business in this particular semi-annual membership meeting. We don't usually cover so much. I'm going to go ahead and shut up. But was there any more thoughts on the gateway? Or is that horse
I
dead?
just have one quick one, which is revisiting this in November or even a year from now, I think is appropriate. I think moving slowly and not pushing people off of what they're doing with the 2-meter repeater now is a really good idea. Because I think it's tenuous, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of us. And I think if it breaks once and becomes unusable, people are going to find other things to do. I know I will. So, I mean, I think it's great what it does right now, and I don't want to break it. So I think we'll have this discussion again. And I'm excited for improvements and added functionality, but I'm also really nervous about breaking what we've got. So.
So I just, as far as just want to reassert to some people who may not know All-Star very well or whatever, I totally agree on the November, because there's a lot of people here would like to have something to say about this conversation we had today. And I will bring it up in my net with All-Star that I do once a month. And I'm pretty sure others will too. We are trying to promote some kind of net on Meshtastic, figure out that in the future. But I got to say, when it comes to reliability, it's going to be very reliable. This is moving from Williams QTH to Pepe KO. It's going to be very solid. The bigger concerns we have here is how we deploy, let's say. And I think we've gone a long ways in that understanding. Just want to encourage everybody to say something, though. Look what me and Tony did today. Totally stuck our necks out. But we got somewhere, I feel. And that's what matters. We want privacy, but we want people to know our aloha here on the BI side. And I will speak for all those who are not here today. That is true. So there you go.
My parting shot. My parting shot. I think that we all need to ask Civil Defense to focus on maybe putting up some GMRS repeaters so that our XYLs and whatnot can reach out to us.
I practice with my wife, the GRS, the power goes out too. To give her a chance to remember.
All righty. Well, thank you all for joining us today.
We need a motion to, well, first we have to see if there's any other business that anybody wanted to bring and didn't get the chance to talk, so we wouldn't shut up.
Well, there's so much business and information here regarding the civil defense. The civil defense is still in process of eventually getting repeaters for emergencies throughout the whole island. God knows when they'll get it done, but they do have plans and they have found some funding. So it is something that is moving forward at this time. Okay.
All right.
You know how the government works, it might be 20 years. I'll be dead by then. I certainly won't be on the radio anymore. Unless I'm going to just do my call.
All right. If that's all, I'm going to go ahead and move that we adjourn this meeting. Again, thank you all for coming.
I'll second that motion.
Oh, all right, William seconds. All in favor of closing this meeting? All right. Thanks, Lee. Thank you, Michael and Mel. All right.